guys obviously about fishing reel and maintenance. He has a really nice YouTube channel that kind of motivated me to get in to speak to you guys. So again, it's Second Chance Tackle on YouTube. And he fixes a variety of reels. It's very well documented what the reels are, so it's easy to figure out if it's the reel you're looking to fix. So we have him here presenting to you guys, and we want to welcome. Thanks very much. Yeah, there's this the trouble is sometimes it doesn't right there.
Well, if any of you have ever seen me on YouTube, we'll start it with, hi, I'm Dennis from Second Chance Tackle.
Hey!
I have about 2,500 subscribers. I have show you how to take them apart, maintain, and put them back together on YouTube. So if you have a reel that you're interested in servicing, and you want to see the step-by-step progression of it, it's worth the 20 to 25 minutes to take a look at the video, see where the pieces of parts come from, to go to the So what I wanted to do today is talk a little bit about care and repair of a fishing reel. It's not something you see every day. It's almost one of those subjects that you wish your dad had told you about when you bought your first one. Because you probably wind up in a crate like that. Because, you know, we're all busy people. We go out and we fish, we come back, and whether it's a storm or we got to run out and take the light container or something, sometimes we just throw them off to the side. We don't clean properly, and then we've got trouble later on. So, there we go. So let's talk about care first. You'll see a lot of different ideas about fishing reel care. The number one thing you want to do when you're done with a trip is wash it off with fresh water. Pretty simple, right? But on the preventive maintenance, I recommend an annual service. It's sort of like a car, right? 5,000 miles or once a year, change the oil. Okay? Don't let it go more than one season. And the reason for that is when you're done fishing, particularly here in New Jersey, and you find yourself in a situation where it's October, you just hit the stripers, now you're done, and you're not going out until April again, all that salt spray, all of the stuff that's come inside the body, all of the intrusions that may have happened there in terms of debris and that, they start to accumulate. And whether you're storing them in a hot basement next to a furnace or cold sheds, that stuff tends to coagulate the grease and bog down the reel. And so you go out in the spring, you try to do this great condition in October, and next thing you know, you got a problem. Something's just not working right. So I recommend annual, and I recommend it at the end of the season, not the beginning of the next season. By the way, my email's on the card. I'll be happy to send you all the slides if you want to do that. So I recommend end of season. Now, if you're going out weekly, or you're doing a lot of surf fishing where you're taking water on, then it's kind of as needed. But do it twice, right? Go out, start in the spring in April, come on back in July, do it again, and then do it at the end of the season, right? So the thing that seems to get everybody about preventive maintenance is the fear of taking that reel apart to start with. Right? So we'll show you a little bit about how it goes on. But on an annual service, I recommend taking the reel apart, even if it's just the base cover, right? Even if you just get into the gears. It's actually too basic in the gears, but even if it's just to get into the gears, do an inspection, make sure it's lubricated, get the drives and bearings clean. The bearings are the ones that take the brunt, and it's the top bearing on the pinion shaft that takes the brunt of most of this. And then replace any water damaged parts. And we'll talk about sources for that and how you can figure out whether they're doing or not, right? And then after fishing, clean your reel with fresh water. It's the best thing. Just hose it down. Now, a lot of folks I've talked to over the years say, I take my reel off, I put some Palmolive dish detergent in a bucket, flood it, throw the reel in there, and let it sit a week. Worst thing you can do. Quickly, what does Palmolive dish detergent do? It greases. You open up the reel and it's dry, and all of a sudden your lubrications have just gone away, right? So don't do that. Just fresh water, drying spray, WD-40 works well, or any of those types of drying sprays, and then making sure it's safe storage. I found in the backs of closets, you know, you get broken, you get the handles banged up, you get people put them on tables in basements that fall off the tables, and they just store it safely. Those are a couple of products I use. So we're going to talk a little bit about the repair of a reel. And before you get started on a reel and taking it apart, you want to make sure you're set up to do the job. And this is an example of my workplace setup. You know, everybody has their quirks, right? All of the tools are close at hand. The workbench is clear of anything other than the project you're working on, and the most common tools that you're going to use in that reel repair should be within hand's reach. Why is that? Well, you've got a reel here, and you've taken the side plate apart, and you've put that down, you've got an open-faced reel here, you need a screwdriver. The last thing you probably want to do is put this down, walk away, get the phone call, do whatever, and come back and find out either you don't remember where a piece of the part came from, or more importantly, something sprang or went away, and now you can't find the right piece of the part. And that's the same idea here with having the bench clear. There's a lot of springs in these reels, right? Whether it's an anti-reverse dog spring, or whether it's a free spool spring, or whatever it is. You want to make sure that if it does happen to jump out on you, that you have a safe catch area. Now, I use a board on there, but use a rubber mat, use a place mat from the kitchen table if you're working on the kitchen table. But keep something there where you can find it. And then I gave you the expanded view because I have below me, where a lot of things tend to fall, I have one of those little plastic mats that your wheelie chairs, like the one over there, kind of go up and down on. That's not because I use a wheelchair. I don't. I use a stool. It's bench height. But if anything falls, I can find it. Right? So I know people are working, they deal with carpets, trying to find that little spring in a carpet. It just doesn't work, right? So set it up. Here's just an example of some tools. Phillips head, flat, needle nose plier. This is a aftermarket wrench for a pen reel, but it takes all of the pen reel handle screws. Braid cutter, that's the old pen wrench. A variety of sizes in terms of metric and standard, open face and closed wrenches, particularly when you're working on spinning reels. When you're going to take the rotor off, it's got a little nut in there, and that one is always different. So just go to Harbor Freight or something. Just buy a set of these things for $6 or $7. Just keep them with the motors. And everybody always asks me what a flashlight is there. As I mentioned before, things fall on the floor, and those just help me to highlight that. The other thing on my bench, two things to note. One is a parts tray, just the bottom of a milk jug in this case. But when you take the parts out of the reel, put in the parts tray. I even go and get a fancy magnetic bottom tray, or it's okay, stainless screws on it. Magnetic, but if you want, so I can do that. But keep a place where you know you can reach in and out, so that when you go to reassemble the reel, you have something to parts. The other one is I use an aftermarket oil. I use Real-X, but it's just a high formulation for real oils. I'm often asked what's the best thing to do from a lubrication standpoint. Should you use the manufacturer's product? That I use Vaseline, believe it or not, it's a petroleum jelly, it's just going to go out faster, right? But what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever reel you're working on, you're using a fishing reel grease and fishing reel oil. It doesn't matter if you use a pen reel's oil on a dial reel. It's not sacrilegious, it will work. Okay? But make sure that you're using something designed for that. I always say that the #1 failure in a reel that I am fixing is lack of lubrication. The second one is usually the wrong lubrication. And the third one usually is too much lubrication. So you got to have the right balance there. But I've had them so loaded in with axle grease, which is an old trick that the old timers used to use, some of us remember it. But if you're always in your surf up to here, you would just pack the heck out of the reel with grease so that when the water came in, you didn't have anywhere to go. Right? The problem is that with that water comes salt, becomes sand, becomes everything else. And after a while, it's just liquid sandpaper. It's kind of running. Right? So that's the workbench and some hints about how to set yourself up before you get going. And then here's your repair tools, something not just learned over time, right? The first thing is take a couple of deep breaths. Relax, stay focused. I like to work in my basement. The only thing that goes on in my basement is the heater, right? But find a comfortable place. Maintain your sense of humor. I know we're in school, so I can't say it, but it happens, right? And just be ready for it. This is one that's very important. This is one I actually got into doing the YouTube videos. Take pictures along the way. Today's technology is so easy, right? We have cell phones. I know some of you guys are taking slides, right? We have cell phones. We have digital cameras. We have video. If you want to just video what you're doing along the way, it's a reference point. You can come back and say, oh, that's where that screw came from. Or that's the last time I saw that spring. Or here's the sequence I took them off in. The orientations on the pieces and parts inside the reel will drive you nuts. Sometimes, for example, an anti-reverse barrel in a stack on Penn Fierce. Very easy when you lay them out on your table to turn that anti-reverse bearing upside down. If you do that, then you're sitting there going, wait a minute, it doesn't turn forward, it only turns backwards. Right? Well, the pictures along the way help you to remember where that is. Schematics. Almost every reel on the marketplace today, you can find the schematic on the internet. It's real simple. Just go in and do an internet search and put down schematic Abu 5000. And you come up on the Abu site or some other site and you see the schematics are there. That's the exploded view. That tells you where all the pieces and parts go. And most of the time, you can find those schematics from somebody who's actually selling the parts. So for example, if you need a pen part, well, the Mystic Tackle, Scott's Bacon Tackle down, I think it's called mysticparts.com now, it used to be penparts.com, has all the schematics, and by the way, if you need it, just take the part number, look at the schematic, and go with the part. So get those if you have any doubts before you move the part. And if I haven't worked on a reel in a while, it's the first time I've seen a reel, that's the first thing I do. I pull the schematic because I want to know what's in there before I pull the side plate off. Right? Particularly if there's a couple of springs in there, I want to make sure that I know where they are. So keep your area clean, work in sections of the reel at one time. After you do it a while, you can blow out a whole spinning wheel, just lay it out on the table. I recommend just kind of focus on the lower case, then focus under the rotor, and then go up top and service the drags. But work on a section at a time rather than trying to break it all down and then put it back together again and lose your product. Last part is expect the unexpected. Springs go boings, parts fall, screws break, members fail. Right? Just expect that. I can't tell you that every one of those reels and arrows from somebody who just gave up on them, but a lot of them just, that's what happened. Okay, so what's inside a reel? Okay, so just some of the things to look at. And again, if you see a schematic, you'll kind of know that ahead of time. Almost every old pen reel that you work on, in this case it's a Beachmaster, it's 155 or 160, it doesn't matter, it's the same. So you'll open it up, you'll see a side plate picture that will kind of look like this with a bridge and a jack. That's about all you can see. Then you can see how you take it apart. So you've got the jack, you have the springs, the yoke, and the pinion gear. Then you come over to the bridge, and you get the bridge and you have the reverse off. Inside the main gear here, the main gear here sits on the pinion, gear sleeve. And then within that, you have a main gear, fabric washer, metal washer, fabric washer, ear washer, fabric washer, metal washer. Almost every pen reel looks that way. Whether it's a Long Beach 60 or 65, whether it's a Jig Master, whether it's a Beachmaster, the 209, the 109, or 109's got a little different design. But almost every pen reel will look like that. The technologies inside the reels haven't changed. What's changed? The outside, the exterior. Reels have become a fashion industry, right? It's the pretty color of the month. It's does the body shape go round or square or oval or something like that. But for the most part, the technologies inside are the same. Here's the Abu Ambassador. I don't remember which one it is. This is a 5000. Pretty standard plate up here. This is your free spool release mechanism with your spool gear on it. Where's my shaft? The shaft is over here. Off of the shaft sits a anti-reverse collar. It's the main gear with the drag, in this case, is in there. There's also a drag on the back side, top plate drag. And then you have on the outside of that glass on the hand. And then what we have here is a typical spinning wheel. And I'll bet you anyone that's not a real drag spinning wheel is pretty much like the same way. So this is why I said work in sections. You have a lower case. In the lower case, you're going to have a main gear. You're going to have a series of shims and bearings. And you'll have a device that moves that spool up and down. Most of the time, it's a crosswind gear and a crosswind block. And that's going to be driven off the back of the main gear. So you look at the main gear, the big side will have teeth, and then you'll have a little set teeth below that. That's driving the crosswind block to make the spool go up and down. So that's section one. Section two is what's under the rotor. Under the rotor, you're typically going to have your pinion gear, you're going to have a bearing, and you're going to have some kind of an anti-reverse override in many reels. Now today's reels, a lot of reels don't even have the anti-reverse override anymore. The Penn Pursuit, the Penn Battle, the Penn Fierce, none of them have the anti-reverse override. The reason for that is that change in technology from a stopping kind of a mechanism the anti-reverse to an anti-reverse bearing makes that anti-reverse bearing pretty difficult to override. So that's why we would see it's been eliminated. I mean, some of the base models, if you're paying $40 for a reel and doesn't have an anti-reverse, chances are you'll find something like this. Well, that's not actually the handle thing. But you'll find there's some little bar coming up with some kind of override to that switch. And then on the top side, here's your drags. Funny little aside, I had somebody actually tell me the other day that the drag tension knob is where the drags are. They're not, they're in the spool. Right? They always thought when you tighten the knob, that was the drag. They're in the spool. Almost every spool that you have, you take that drag valve off, you'll see a spool. It's got a cavity in there. It's usually held in by a C-clip. The C-clip has a series of drags. Guess what? They're almost identical to this. Different in size, different in looks. But it's going to be a fabric washer or a Teflon washer or a felt washer, depending on which ones you have, alternating with a metal washer. And one of those metal washers, usually at a minimum, one of them is keyed, and the one that's keyed belongs in the middle. The reason why they key that one is that intersects with the spool, and that's the one that actually stops the spool. Because if you had all round ones without the key, the spool would just spin. So make sure that one's in the middle. Some of the pens will have two of them. They'll be octagonal as opposed to the key. One goes about halfway, and the other goes about halfway from the quarter way down, quarter from the top. But just notice when you take them out, I use a little ball. And just slide it in and make sure that the stack comes out the right way. Make sure when you take them out, you know the sequence of those washers that go back in. If they all fell out, you got the schematic. The schematic will tell you where those pieces of parts are along the way. Okay? And then once you restack this, there's three things to do with the drags. If you have Teflon washers in there, which kind of look like white plastic most of the time, do nothing. Teflon is a petroleum type of product. It doesn't need lubrication. It's kind of self-lubricating. You don't need to do anything. If you're opening up the Pen Fierce or a Pen Pursuit, you're going to find felt washers in there. They look like these little flimsy little things. They're actually pretty good. Shimano's a good segment. The high-end reels have felt washers. They get oiled. Right? So use that reel oil that you're using on your regular reel on the felt washers. Fabric washers. If you've got carbon tex, if you've got HT100s, those get dry grease. And I use calcium universal dry grease. But Okuma makes dry greases, all the manufacturers make them. But what you want to do with the dry grease, just a little dab on there. I recommend using a latex glove on your hands to keep the chemicals off. And when you do that, just put a little dab on there and just rub it into it. You don't have to flood it with the dry grease. Just make sure that it's coated with it. The reason for that is you want to keep the drag washers flexible, because when they get brittle, they break or tear, or otherwise just kind of go away, right? So just loop that, same idea over here. And if any of you have the Fierce or Pursuit, you say, I really don't like the idea of felt washers, or I've been tearing the felt washers up, same thing with Shimano's. Go to smoothdrag.com, you can get carbon tex upgrades. And you put one for one, and all you can do is just move it a little bit. But that's what's inside of the reel. We didn't do a lever drag. We didn't do a Shimano, which has a little bit of a different orchestratic, has a worm gear that drives the spool up and down. But for the most part, that's what you can see when you open them up. Oops, here we go. So resources, come on. Resources. So go to the manufacturer's website if you're going to take a reel apart. A lot of the manufacturers will post their schematics right on there, and some of them you can order the parts from. So Shimano, Daiwa, and Okuma, they have their own. And then you've got Pure Fishing, which is a conglomerate. They do Penn, Abu, Shakespeare, Mitchell, Fluger. They do Berkeley soft baits. They do Rhino rods. They do other things. And then WC Brady does set up quantum familiar and they install. So just go to the internet search if you're working on one of those reels, want to learn more about them. Parts suppliers, I mentioned Mystic Parts already. Up in Canada, you got Mike's Reel Repair. He's got the guys, he's got Shimano's. And others. E-replacement parts is in the U.S. kind of does the same thing. If you go to e-replacement.parts.com, that's not just a fishing site. So when you go there, you can get everything from an internal part for a microwave oven to a lawnmower to a fishing reel, right? So you've got to know the part that you're getting when you go to e-replacement parts. Otherwise, the search engines are horrible. But those are suppliers. Forums, yeah, I'm on there. I'm always looking for subscribers. Take a look, see that. If you're working on a Mitchell, this is probably the best site I've seen. MitchellReelsMuseum.com. They show all the tech points and every schematic that you ever want for a Mitchell reel, and they have a forum on it. And then one of the best in the business that I've found is Alan Kennedy. And you can find him on YouTube, you can find him on the site, he runs a forum. And when I get a reel that I haven't seen in a while, typically I'll go and see what Alan Kennedy is doing. So I have an old Finor Regal lever drag reel I've never seen. Went on there, you have the resource for that. Also on Newell reels, the guy's an expert on Newell reels. Pick up a Newell reel and don't take it apart. Go see what Alan Kennedy has to say. And then the next one, I kind of run a forum under YouTube, but by all means, that's my contact information. We have any comments. So, other than thanking you and telling you to go service you don't catch the big one, I want to give you the opportunity to take that first screw out and not be afraid. So I've got a basket of reels here that don't do me any good. I would welcome you to pick one out, take it home, take the screws apart. Maybe you'll find something you can use in there. But mostly what you'll find out is you can overcome your fear of taking that first screw out. And if you screw it up, so what? Didn't cost you anything. So with that, I'm going to thank you. Questions? Anybody got a question?
The bail, as far as maintaining any oil or anything, like a line roller or anything?
Line roller, always do the line roller. I usually put a drop of grease on both sides of the bail arm. There's only one functioning side. Usually it's this one, right? There's a little spring in there. Don't move the spring because it just clogs the spring. If you want to put a drop of oil, without even taking it off, just throw it into the seat here. This one is just, there's nothing going on this side of the wheel.
Yeah.
It's just a pivot point. But if you want to put a little drop of oil in there, you can. But there's a line roller. If you have a line roller burning, don't put a drop of oil. A lot of wheels don't have that burning. The lower end wheels don't have that. So, I got it. Question?
In the beginning, you showed different sprays.
Yes.
For if you're fishing is spray reels.
Right. Oops. There you go. Yeah.
Do they make your line, because the line...
Today's modern lines do not. Not like the rod cleaner here, and rod cleaner.
What I mean is, the next time you go fishing, is that going to affect your loft line?
I haven't heard of that.
One of the pen ones I bought one time, it seemed really oily.
Could be. So you have one here, right? Yeah, this is the rod and reel cleaner. It might be. I just simply wait on your order every week. So I was thinking something which is useful. Yeah, most of them, they're the chemical formulas, but most of them are the formula that get the maximum amount of protection with the minimum effect on
Same with WD-40, you just spray through the reel? Is that what
yeah,
you're
it's the
doing?
white spray on it after I rinse it off. I usually take the wheel out of the driveway, open up the hose and flood it, and make sure it has a good bath, and you just shake it off, and hit it with WD-40. That's right.
It doesn't, metallic dust or anything with WD-40 on it?
So the WD-40 dries. Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Before you guys go, we're raffling away. Got this chart from different kind of show.
Cool.
I guess.
You got the magic button.
9455253.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, don't be shy. Take it real. I don't want to take them back with me.
What happened? You couldn't fix them?
Get parts of it. It's just a great opportunity to grab So when you're going to trip it, it's going to stuck with you. You've got a bent bail. So first thing you want to do, so what's happening is, that's out of shape, it's getting caught there, and it's down. So the easiest thing to do on that really is take a look at it, because if it's not sort of looking this way, then, you know, see where it's really the shape, right? Just put your hand on it. Just push it from the back, and the easiest way to notice that, oh, this is not a good example. Don't take the bail on the side. I just spring that the same thing.
Guys, you want to handle this? Sure.
We'll just handle it, just handle the door.
How'd you do, Ryan? Hey, you two guys. There's one up here real quick. Mr. Beckett,